Hello everyone. So in this tutorial, we are actually going to see that how role work for the Ansible. Role is a very important concept. Plus, we are going to do complete. We are going to do a complete industry scale, enterprise level use case. So what is that use case? So if you watch in previous tutorials, we have done continuous integration and continuous deployment with help of Jenkins, in which we have designed a very simple app in the Java, var.java, java.var, like simple app.var. Var is the extension of the Java actually in the end product. And we have seen that it's just a small kind of directory where you can add new name of people, phone number directory kind of thing. Well, great. And for that app, we needed to actually set up Tomcat, we needed to set up server for Jenkins. So these two things we needed that time, if you remember. If you want to revise that, you can go back and go to the Jenkins series and you can see it. Then what happened is that now we'll do or we'll take the same example and we carry forward this. This is the use case complexity is already at enterprise level or at the company level or at the industry level. This is something similar you're gonna do as a role as a DevOps developer in the industry. And we'll see that why we need role actually at the first place in the Ansible, and secondly, we'll deploy a complete app. Why there is a need of role instead of playbooks? The thing is that the efficiency and less number of commands are written in more sophisticated way of managing stuff. That's all. This is the kind of hierarchy. We could write 100 commands and resultantly we can achieve some task. So we compile or bundle these 100 commands into the script way in the playbook, and we run a couple of playbooks like 1, 2, 3 playbooks, and we achieve some task. And over the passage of time, the complexity of the project increased, need more neat and clean way and more managed way to do some configuration on the servers, which means that we have different modules written. For example, we can create user in one module. This is one playbook. The second playbook is something where we have discussed this all stuff. For example, this is second playbook. So that was the hierarchy. So we write ad hoc commands sometimes, and same thing could be achieved with the playbooks, and then role is the more sophisticated way. So, for example, we needed to write 3 or 4 playbooks where we define some role. One playbook's doing user stuff, second is doing apps dev stuff, third is doing environment stuff, and fourth is doing generic configuration, generic configs. So excuse me for my writing, so I'm just writing with mouse, which is kind of challenging. So now to similarly to do efficient stuff, we need to follow the role. What is the role? Role is the thing that can bundle up the playbooks. Instead of running 4 playbooks or 5 or 10 playbooks one by one, we can bundle them together. This is the function number 1 for the roles actually. If we talk about roles in the Ansible, this is function number 1. Bundling up. Function number 2 really is that it has a Jinja template structure. What is the Jinja template? Jinja template is simply 2 curly brackets style, and you can add variable name here as we have seen previously. And how it's helping actually, it's helping in the great deal because it's helping in the great deal because it's really you can do dynamic stuff. For example, sometimes for the app you need to write IP of the computer or the server plus slash db hostname, for example. This is the configuration you need. Now you have 100 server here, server 1, server 2, server 3, up to server n. This is server n, right? But what is the problem here that the IP address in some of the configuration are dynamic. The IP of this computer would be 1 and 2 at the end, 3 at the end, 4 at the end. Now the real problem is that when you are deploying or doing some configuration, there is, for example, 90% of the code is the same. 90% code is the same, but 10% is dynamic, which means that every machine has its own configuration or specification for that. To achieve this, what you do, you write templates. You write templates. You will know what I mean by the templates shortly. I will perform a complete directory structure here. And in the template, you have one folder variable. You import everything from the variable, and you, instead of writing IP address, you from the setup, if you remember the setup command generating by default for every deployment, or for every Ansible command, it's automatically generates the gathering information module, which means it's gathering a lot of information, almost every information available on Linux or Windows machine. Which means that you can call those variable just in similar way you would do in the Python function. For example, if you need simple IP address, you would say that host name dot IPv4 IPv4. It's gonna give you the IP address 192.168.4.4, something like that. It's not IPv6 but IPv4. So that's that. So it's very easy. Templating is the second benefit of the role, where you can generate a lot of dynamic stuff on the server, which is otherwise very cluttering and difficult here in this playbook. This is the thing for using the role. And the third thing is it's using a directory structure which is predefined. Predefined means that you cannot change the name of the folders. It has hierarchy. There is one folder, under that folder there is one file. There is then second folder, for example, this is default folder, uh, which has all the default values. Second folder, under that folder you have secondary and you have some files here, right? Then there is third folder, fourth folder, five folder. So these are the stuff actually that makes complete directory structures very neat and clean, which means that you have a template folder here, all the template lives here, var folder here, are all the variables of the setup lives here. There is a task folder here, are the tasks, and the good thing is that these are the playbooks actually. Underneath there is a playbook. Underneath for every folder there is a playbook. And this playbook actually contains normal playbook, whatever playbook you would see otherwise in the normal setup. In name of those playbooks is always main.yaml. Main.yaml would be the file, and just allow me some time. That was the conceptual backbone. So let's now take a use case where we would perform complete setup from scratch in this playbook practically, and you would understand this concept in more depth and neat way. Okay, here I have prepared something to show. There is a new folder, as you can see, wasn't exist in the previous folder, right? And this folder is role. In this role folder, actually we have a complete directory structure. And this directory structure should be the same if you want to run role. Otherwise it won't work, which essentially means that the name of the directories and everything should remain the same. Let's do ltr cd roles, ah, cd roles. Okay, I'm already in role. And now let me show you. example of Tomcat. So here is the thing for the every roles under the role folder, because in the etc Ansible, etc Jenkins, these are the tools actually always live in the etc abstract structure of the Linux. If you talk about Ubuntu, and there's some in the roles there are some role. You can create a one folder for one project or one folder for each project, and you define role. Under role, you define different multiple playbooks. Here you can see, as you can see here, that we have different configuration for Apache, Docker, Git, JDK, Jenkins, Tomcat. So this is the each is the role. Let's explore the role, which is a little bit more complex. If I T here, T, no, tree, okay, tree is not installed. apt install, okay. So apt get install tree. It should give us a tree. Tree is the utility actually. Well, great. Well, it gives you something similar to that, and it's very handy. Now you can see that by predefined directory structure, we mean that you have default here, and in the default, you must have always default variable. So what does mean by the default variable? So let me just open up in the terminal, and in the Tomcat cd defaults, and then I get main.yaml. So in this file, these are the stuff available. So in this file, in the main.yaml, there are some default. Why there is default? Default are always there as a safety reason, that if I forget to mention some stuff which is mostly commonly repeated, it should be available here. Okay. Then very important folder file. File is kind of artifacts, which means that whichever server, software, installation, whatever you need to install, deploy your app, whatever it is, all the source code lives in the file, and you must have that artifact ready. Other than that, if something is not going to be installed from the script online over the URL, everything should live here. Fair enough, pretty simple. Then comes handler. Well, handlers are kind of optional, but if you need some handlers, means you need some notifications, or you need some notifier in the end, or you have some triggers. So if this happened, do this. This is handler is nothing but automation which actually trigger on specific condition. Let me show you. See handler and YAML. Well, the handler says that name restart Tomcat, success name Tomcat, state restarted. What happens is that sometime if you finish installing some software on Windows, then Windows says that okay, please reboot your system, and only if you reboot the system, then this effect could take place, whatever you are doing. Something similar stuff happen in the software installation or process in configuration management, that you need to restart your system, or you need to trigger something else. There could be like 100 of different options there, possible options. What handler does is that when all the Ansible configuration process is successful or okay, it simply says that if there is okay signal from the process of Ansible, then do this. This is post installation stuff that could be possible to do stuff. Like after installing software, you can restore your system. So then there's very important and mandatory folder, And this mandatory folder is I got some call here. Well, in the task, similarly, we have main folder. So here actually, the good thing is now what which makes a role different from the playbook is that you can organize stuff very neatly and very cleanly. Which means here you can see that we have created a different files. So we have created like configure user. So if we need configure user for 10 different tasks, we can always use that. For example, the first time we have configured everything, but the task is to just create a new user for somebody. We don't have to run all this task every time, but we can only do configure user. On some server, for example, if Tomcat is crashed or not working very well and we need to reinstall it, we can only install Tomcat there with this script, and similarly these are the files. So let's see or look into the tasks folder, and for example, if I get configuration, then in the configuration, definitely here you can see that it's just adding a user and assigning that user to the group. If I get, for example, install portion of that YAML, then it's a main actually folder where what's happening here. Let me just maybe show you with help of Nano. It's more beautiful actually. What's going on here? It's simply copying the Tomcat file. You would be surprising that where from this Tomcat version is coming. This is coming from variable, and this is Jinja templating where you open up two curly braces and end up, and whatever you write here is always looking into the variable. Simple, very simple. It's copying whatever found in the folder file. I have shown you a file here. Here you can say it's Apache Tomcat, and this is the version number. Version number could change, and that exists in this variable file. It's trying to extract it into this opt. Remote source yes means that, as you know, that source always mean in the language or in the world of Ansible that it is source is always meant to be for mostly copying and all other modules. Source is meant to be a master node where the Tomcat, where the Ansible is installed. But sometimes this is the case that you don't need to copy something always from the master to the server, but sometimes you have something available on server. So in this case, similarly, we have extract file or whatever file is available in the file. That's why there is one parameter called yes, remote source yes, that I don't want to copy something from master, rather I have something available on the remote, so please copy that. This is kind of optional. This is creating a symlink. This is the task. So if you're wondering that what is this, this is simple playbook. As previously we have done many different playbooks. This is simple playbooks, but now it's bundled up in the shape of role. So here you can see that system link is making this a little bit more easier when you write op Tomcat. You don't have to always write the whole version of that Tomcat. To make your life a little bit easier, what it is doing is creating a system link is nothing, system link or link is nothing but creating a shortcut in the window. At some point might be you have used some window machine where you used to create a shortcut of the software, and it is on desktop, and you just double click on the desktop and that software works. That double clicks is always has a full path underneath to that executable file. So it is the similar concept. So if anybody would write op Tomcat, it's automatically going to this, including version number. That makes it a little bit easy to write time and again this uh, complex version. It is not necessary, but you can do this. Always this system link stuff, system link stuff. Then the very important stuff is in Linux that the only user who have the ownership of file and folder could execute stuff. Sometimes they have read access, but they don't have execute or writing access. So here is what it's doing. So you could here actually write something else too, but for example, you could write ch on change ownership or recursively to the directories with group and username with X plus like executable access or whatever access. But here the mode 77755 is more binary way of doing this. So what binary is that always whatever permission you're giving to any user, it's actually creating a binary number of it, which Linux understands very well. This first letter is user. Actually, this is the directory, and 0 is directory, 7 is actually user, current user, whichever user is logging, and 55 is the other users, and the second is the group, and the 5 is the other user. So any other user. So 5 is all the user in this group, in which group this user belongs to, in 5 cell. So what it is doing that to current user it's giving a maximum access, and to other user in the similar group which belongs to this group, this user is giving 5 other than 5. So 75 is very customary, you don't have to worry about this. This is just Tomcat is a folder, and whatever inside the directory recursively, because it's saying recursive yes, it's trying to change the ownership. And then one problem with the Tomcat server is whenever you copy a Tomcat binary file, you just simply need to, for example, the alternative way of manually would be that you just go to Tomcat, you copy or download the binary file, you extract it. After the extraction, you place it into the opt file, because opt file is the operation file where all the normally software lives in the Linux world. And then you need to create a Tomcat server file, because system controller system control system CTL, start service close service, always Linux looks for any software to start that service in that service file, which means that all the software, regardless which software in the Linux is, it lives in the system D. And system D is the main hook or anchor point where Linux software services are operating, which means that you create a binary file, but in principle you don't have service file, and you are going to the Tomcat service file, you create a new file with state touch. Similarly with files, file can do multiple things. As you can see, it could change the ownership, it could create a system link, and now it could create a new file. And now one thing is that you need to write multiple lines, similar if you would will be doing with this with nano or vi. But Ansible module gives you this facility here with the block file, so blocking file. Block input file, you can just give a path, and in the block after this this bar sign, after this and logical and bar sign, what you can do, you can write a whatever you need in multi-line. In multi-line, it would now don't consider this as a parameter or a new line or something. Whatever is written here would be considered as a simply block of the code, which is ultimately going to save that file. Then enable disable is a system D. This is the module in the Ansible, and it's just enabling, disabling it, and then what it's doing after enabling the Tomcat, it's just copying the creating a new directory in the opt, and then it's simply copying the file which is available in the file folder here. That's okay, it's copying this file and simply doing this. Now the problem is that for every file you need to write the host name, like IP address, what I have shown you here in this thing, that why we need templates and why we need to deploy something in template manner, that you have different you know IP addresses of each machine is different, and you have dynamic configuration here. This is that. In the template, you have app.prop. In the app.prop, I will show you what it is inside. Every machine has its own host name, and what it does, it's dynamically adding the name of that. So let me just show you. Okay, now if I just do that, and I go to template, and then I use to go get app.prop. And you can see here that here is Ansible hostname and Ansible IPv4 address. Where from this file is coming? This is coming from the setup module of Ansible. What Ansible setup is doing is gathering the information of your server. Server 1, server 2 is gathering information, right? And now you can call it in the function manner from the Python, similar from the Python. And here you can see that dynamically for each machine it's going to change the configuration here. That's why this templating is very important here. Now the last things come into the picture is variable. And now let me show you var. Okay, var. And let me show you get main. Here you can say that we have username admin, tomcat, abc. But now you might have question in your mind that we have default and we have var. These are the two folder where from configuration of something is coming from. But which one's really Ansible is taking while doing configuration? The answer is that the both are okay. Both achieves the same purpose, but whatever written in variable get the priority. The purpose of default is that sometimes there are many configuration you want to bothering about that, and you just leave them in default so that you don't have to think about that, and by default it's taking some stuff from there. If and only if, for example, you need something special, you just add it into variable with similar name, maybe like version number here, and version number also written in default. But which one would take the priority? This would take the priority here, the variable. Well, great, superb, superb, superb. So now we have created a beautiful role. Now the last thing would be that how we can actually perform this or run this command to do this stuff, whatever is written here. Now let me show you that. Now we have this directory structure. We have written everything, which is cool and great. But the question arises that how we can actually run this directory structure. This is directory and not executable. Prior to that, we had playbook. Playbook is simple to run, like Ansible dash playbook, and it is good to go. So how we can write this or run this whole directory? This is very simple. For example, whatever you role do you have, you go the top level. Top level mean this. Here you can create a new directory, which is sudo touch, and the here I can say that my role dot yaml, and then I have my role here. I could do nano my role, and I could paste something like that. Run installation role, server R is okay. I have, I guess, prod. And here, whatever your directory structure name is. And my directory is role Tomcat. I have, yeah, I have roles, and another role I have Tomcat, right? I have Tomcat name, so I can just write Tomcat as a role name, and it would automatically then detect that there is some directory structure in this directory. Become yes as the root user, which is great. Oops, X, yes, save. Now you have a new playbook, and you could just install or run this as a simple playbook. Very easy. Okay, great. So, for example, we are here. We have some files here on the toggle level in this directory in the role. So what I can do is that I have written that role variable now, and now I can run it. How I can run it? I can run it Ansible playbook, my role, just create it, extra vars. If I want to give extra var, and we have written something in main that action. We have created this trigger. Great. Cool. Cool. Something has failed. So which means that on in general file we didn't have installed our you know on one server we don't have JDK installed, Java Development Kit. But the thing is that that's why it's failed. But you know how to do stuff, which is great. So that's how you can do like Ansible, right? And here in the main.yaml you have defined whole task, how you can manage task using important to this. So if I show this nano and Tomcat cd tasks and nano main.yaml, and you can see here that what we have done, we can include tasks similar to the import. We have something imported. Action is equal to install. These are the trigger point we have written here. We can write anything here in the condition. In this condition, we can give in the extra vars. This is the uninstallation way of doing this, right? So easy peasy, which means that now we can import any task, any different task. We can now create a very clean hierarchy where, for example, we have 20 different tasks. Now we have imported them and we have organized them in the one main file, and we have created conditions to it. So we can create a multiple conditions here, like 10 different conditions based on our requirement. Sometime we need to install, we need to create new user, when sometime we need to change the ownership, sometime we need to do for any stuff. Now we can create in the task 100 of different tasks for one category. Now we have folder in the role. One role is the Tomcat. Second role is, for example, boarding or onboarding of any employee. Third task would be anything. So, for example, in the role we have the 10 different tasks on the enterprise level, which we need to do on daily basis. And under the each task we have complete directory structure, and under each directory we have task, and we have 20 different tasks in the playbook. And then we have main. In the main we have imported different tasks, like imported different, similar to the Python module import, we have imported different playbooks, and we have attached some condition to them so that we can supply them in the extra var shape from the command line, and in the end we can run them in very neat manner. We just create one single role playbook on the top, where we are saying where we need to change the directory name. So for example, we have 10 directories, and in each directory there's something, we just need to change the name of directory, and we are good to go. And now it's a more neat and clean and organized and less uh, effort requiring way. to do that. That's how you can do role, and that is the most complex topic. And what I have shown you here is the industry scale stuff. What is really and very similar to or comparable to that you need to or you have to perform in the industry. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for the more video. Hit the like and subscribe button if you get some value of this out of this content, and that really encouraged me to create more and more content around the AI and dev stuff. Thank you very much. Bye.